Donald Trump expected Canada to break, not negotiate, not resist, break. That belief shaped every move he made, the tariffs, the threats, the pressure campaigns, because historically that strategy works. Smaller economies panic, allies hesitate, leaders blink. But Canada didn't blink, and that's where Trump made his biggest mistake. Because while he was escalating loudly, Canada was doing something far more dangerous. It was quietly restructuring its entire economic posture in a way that makes pressure useless. This isn't about insults, it's not about speeches, it's not even about politics, it's about leverage. And before this video ends, you'll see why Trump's real problem isn't China. It's a country he thought he already controlled. Quick check, where are you watching from right now? Drop your country in the comments. This story lands very differently depending on where you live.
I've largely stayed silent on what has transpired.
Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper is piercing that silence with a warning.
One-way tariffs introduced by the U.S. must be reciprocated.
Prime Minister Mark Carney dropped most counter tariffs against the United States last summer, but 25% tariffs remain on steel and aluminum. In the upcoming trade talks with the U.S., Harper says Canada should be prepared to hit back with more levies.
Now, will that, friends, be costly in the short run? Yes. But what we can never concede are permanent, one-way economic flows from Canada to the United States.
Trump's approach has always been brutally simple. Create uncertainty, apply pain, force submission. Tariffs aren't just economic tools, they're psychological weapons. They make businesses nervous, they make markets unstable, they make politicians desperate. And for decades, Canada has been especially vulnerable to that pressure. Deep integration with the U.S., massive cross-border supply chains, entire industries dependent on American access. From Washington's perspective, Canada didn't have an exit door. So Trump pushed. And at first, everything looked normal. No loud retaliation, no dramatic counter-threats, no emotional response, just silence. And in Trump's world, silence means fear. What he didn't realize was that this silence wasn't hesitation. It was coordination, because behind that quiet surface, something rare was happening inside Canada, something Trump's strategy depends on never occurring: unity. And it didn't start with the current government. It started with someone Trump never expected to hear from.
For months, Stephen Harper said nothing. No interviews, no statements, no public positioning. That restraint mattered, because when Harper finally spoke, it wasn't casual commentary, it was a signal. A former conservative prime minister, respected in Washington, trusted by U.S. institutions, openly warning that Canada must be prepared to retaliate against American tariffs. That's not rhetoric, that's leverage being rebuilt. Harper wasn't talking to voters, he wasn't appealing to emotion, he was speaking directly to power. And what made this moment so disruptive is who Harper represents. He isn't a liberal, he isn't aligned with the current government, he isn't someone Trump can dismiss as ideological opposition. He's exactly the kind of figure Trump expects to stay quiet. And suddenly that expectation collapsed, because Harper wasn't just criticizing Trump, he was redefining Canada's posture. He was saying one-way pressure is over, that escalation will be met, that Canada will no longer absorb economic pain in silence. And when a conservative former prime minister takes that stance, it sends a message that Washington understands immediately. This isn't partisan, it's structural. If that surprised you, tap like. Most people completely underestimated what Harper stepping in actually means. But Harper was only the first visible crack. The real shift had already happened somewhere else.
Carney is hardly a radical. So for him to say something essentially saying that the world of the past is past and we have to chart a different course in light of these new realities, I think was quite significant. I think it is actually quite a significant moment. It's clear that a lot of people in the room were thinking similar thoughts. And I think we're glad to have someone finally state them openly and as clearly as Carney did. It's also significant who said it. I mean, Canada used to be just about our best friend, certainly the best neighbor any country could possibly ask for. And Carney is hardly a radical. He's an absolute mainstream politician, real establishment person. So for him to say something essentially saying that the world of the past is past, It's not coming back, and we have to chart a different course in light of these new realities, I think was quite significant.
At Davos, Mark Carney didn't shout, he didn't threaten, he didn't posture. He did something far more unsettling. He reframed reality. Carney said the era of automatic globalization is over, that trade, finance, and supply chains are now being weaponized. The deep integration with unpredictable partners has become vulnerability. And then he said the part that made analysts sit up straight. Countries that ignore this reality will lose sovereignty. That wasn't ideology, that was diagnosis. Harvard analysts recognized it immediately. This wasn't a speech meant to score points. It wasn't about Trump personally. It was about survival in a volatile world. Carney was saying Canada would no longer depend blindly on goodwill. It would hedge risk. It would build resilience. It would protect itself. That's not radical. That's strategic realism. And when Harvard experts praised the speech, it confirmed something important. Canada wasn't reacting. It was planning. If you're still watching, comment "Strategy beats noise," because this next part is where planning turns into action. After Davos, something subtle but powerful began happening. Canada didn't announce confrontation. It didn't declare economic war. It diversified. Trade partnerships widened. Dependence narrowed. Redundancy replaced vulnerability. Europe, Asia, multiple supply paths instead of one. This wasn't about abandoning the US, it was about never being cornered again. And that's the part Trump hates most, because pressure only works when there's no alternative, and Canada was building alternatives. But the real test of this strategy wasn't theory, it was industry, and nowhere was the pressure heavier than the auto sector.
Well, first and foremost, it is all in for auto making in Canada. So it is supporting Toyota, Honda that are producing 77% of all our auto production, obviously in Canada. It is to support also those working in Windsor, in Oakville, in Oshawa. So it is first and foremost a Buy Canada policy. And then, of course, we also believe that the future of the industry is EV. Why? Because by 2035, we know that 40% of EVs, that the cars sold in the world will be EVs.
The auto sector took the hardest hit. Factories, supply chains, tens of thousands of jobs. And instead of vague promises, Melanie Joly went straight at the heart of the issue. She didn't defend ideology, she defended workers. Toyota, Honda, Windsor, Oshawa, Oakville. Real places, real livelihoods. Her message was simple and unmistakable. Canada will protect its auto industry. Canada will compete, not comply. Canada will lead manufacturing in North America, not follow it. That wasn't a threat to Trump. It was a declaration to the world, and global manufacturers heard it. If manufacturing matters where you live, drop a wrench in the comments, because what happens next reshapes the continent.
Manufacturing decisions aren't emotional, they're calculated. Where policy is stable, where incentives are clear, where long-term planning is possible. And right now, Canada's checking every box. Predictable governance, direct access to consumers, industrial strategy without mood swings. Meanwhile, US policy changes with every election cycle. So when companies in Japan, South Korea, and even China decide where to place their next billion-dollar factory, Canada keeps winning the math. Not because of slogans, because of structure. And once those factories are built, they don't move. This is the part that keeps Trump up at night. His entire strategy was built on pulling manufacturing south. Canada is quietly pulling it north. If you made it this far, comment "long game." You're seeing what most people still don't.
Trump understands force. He understands pressure. What he consistently underestimates is coordination. Canada didn't fight him. It outgrew his leverage. Former conservatives warning retaliation. Liberals restructuring economic strategy. Industry leaders defending workers. Global institutions validating the direction. This isn't resistance from one party. It's alignment across an entire system. And that's what makes this moment historic. Because power doesn't shift with explosions. It shifts quietly. And by the time you notice, it's already too late to stop. Put it all together. A former conservative prime minister breaking silence. A sitting prime minister redefining economic survival. an industry minister defending real jobs, global allies quietly diversifying away from U.S. dependence. Trump expected submission. Canada delivered resilience, and that changes everything. If you want more breakdowns like this, the kind that actually explain how power shifts happen, subscribe and tell me in the comments, do you think Trump even realizes what Canada has already done?